Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is the show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. And at the end of the episode, I talk about the viewer's pick of the week, so in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week for a chance to be featured on the episode. Now let's jump into this week's comics. I had a bit of a smaller haul with 8 books this week, and number 8 for me was Thor issue 28. And honestly, I love Thor as a series. This has been one of my favorite Thor runs. I'm usually not even a fan of Thor, so it's been nice to kind of have a different vibe to the character and some really interesting mythos building all at the same time. And I feel like since the Hulk crossover and now the Venom crossover, it's kind of lost a little bit momentum. Yes, you still gotta have these interesting mashups and visuals, but overall, I think the plot has definitely slowed down a bit, and even the art is not as strong as it has been. So overall, giving that 2 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7. The only other Marvel book I got this week, because there just wasn't a ton of Marvel books that came out, and that is Midnight Sun, issue 2. And I'm sad to see this lower, because I love that first issue. It was such a solid team book, and this one has the issue 2 slump, where, you introduce the plot in that first issue, you introduce the characters, and here, it's mostly just action, and kind of getting to point A to point B, as the team goes into a more magical world by the end of the issue, and our Strange Academy character Zoe dealing with the her being a big catalyst of the plot and the dangers of this issue, or the dangers of this series. So overall, I thought the art was fun. I thought the action was good, but I just felt like there was too much going on visually that you didn't really get to have those character moments shine like we once saw with issue 1. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Deadliest Bouquet, issue 3. It's an Image comic. I believe there's 2 issues left of this one. And another one that I feel like kind of slowed down since issue 1. I am not as fascinated with the characters as I want to be, even though I think the plot is moving for the most part. We're getting to see some more puzzle pieces of the sisters' mother. We get to see the sisters are all on different pages by the end of the issue. The artwork is pretty solid for the book, but I want to love these characters, and I still haven't really grasped myself onto them, and I wish we got a little bit more of the sister moments and character moments in the regard of just knowing who they are than just plot twists. So overall, giving this one 3 stars. Not a bad issue by any means, but I just want a little bit more from this series. So moving on to number 5, which is Nightwing issue 97. And this issue, another point A to point B, which, I'm not surprised by, because last issue, we actually had a lot happen. We had the Nightwing and Barbara relationship rekindle. We had the main villain die in the last issue. So now we get to see Maroni, is he behind all this, because it kind of ends on the cliffhanger of him being there with the death. So the police are trying to figure that out. You get to see characters like Renee Montoya and Batwoman's old girlfriend, for some reason I'm forgetting her name. But we get to see those characters, so it's nice to see that Bat family being utilized in this series. That's kind of been one of my favorite parts of Nightwing, is just seeing, Tim show up, Batgirl show up. It just feels like anyone could enter or exit this book, and kind of makes it a bigger world in that regard. But mostly it really is just Maroni, having his time at the police station, and then Nightwing and Batgirl kind of taking care of him. The ending is really where things start to pick up, where the cliffhanger has Rick Grayson, of all people, is like, wait, what? How is Rick Grayson here? That is Dick Grayson, and do we want to see Rick Grayson again? So that was really interesting. I kind of wish it was the whole issue, and I'm sure next issue will be, as we gear up to issue 100. And there's some weird transitions in this issue. Again, we're dealing with the more villainy side of things, and then there's some awkward jokes in this one that I just didn't feel like landed. And then I thought the romance was a little pushed in this issue, where I feel like it could have transitioned a little better. So Overall, giving that 3 stars. I also didn't love that there was 2 different artists on this one. I love Bruno's art, but then in the middle of the issue, there's a different artist, and then Bruno returns, so that felt a little uneven as well. So anyways, like I said, giving that 3 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to another Bat book, and that is number 4, GCPD, The Blue Wall. And honestly, I got this one on whim. I didn't have a lot of books this week, so I was like, why not get this issue 1 with Renee Montoya? And I wasn't disappointed with it. I will say it's a little bit more wordy than I expected. It's not really action heavy, but there's definitely some interesting political storylines being interrogated here, and I think it's really cool to have a black writer writing a police book in the Batman world. I think that really bleeds through here very well. I do want to see a little bit more from the characters. I do think that it really is a setting up issue, and the main character I thought was going to be Renee. It really is these other rookie cops as well. And I expected maybe a little bit more of the question. I expected maybe a little bit more super heroics, but this is a very grounded book. It really is about everything outside of the superheroes. It really is about the police station of Gotham. And if you enjoy that, I think you'll enjoy this. I don't know if it hooked me enough for issue 2, but I enjoyed it enough as a read. So we'll see when issue 2 comes out, how many books I'm getting, if I'll get this one. But I like the art, and I like that as something different for the Bat family. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, a book I very much recommend, and that is Crashing issue 2. And I think it's a really good follow-up to issue 1. I think issue 1 really showcased the world and showcased who this main character is. And it kind of dives into this more Nurse Jackie storyline of the main character is a drug addict and gets back on drugs, and how that's affecting her work, how that's affecting her personal life, and put in the mix of superpowered people and political intrigue that's connected to those superpowered people, and you're still 100% questioning, okay, how's this main character related to the superpowered people? Does she have powers herself? I think this is a really good point A to point B issue, and I'm still intrigued by the main character. I'm intrigued by the plot. There's a good cliffhanger to want you to read more. Good artwork overall. Very solid series. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, an issue that surprised me, and I thought is one of my favorites probably of the series thus far, and that's Dark Crisis Young Justice issue 5. And the reason I really like this is more interrogation about these, characters that were introduced in the early 2000s or late 90s, and how there have been other characters introduced since. You have your Batwomans, you have Damian Wayne, you have Wallace West. Like, you have other characters that kind of replace these characters, and it's this very meta-textual issue about that, of saying like, okay, like, aren't you afraid that you're going to be replaced? And it's the team coming together, working together, including Arrowette, who always is known to retire from the Young Justice team, and just getting a lot of good character moments while still balancing a lot of action with Mixie Pitalick's son. So a really solid issue overall. I haven't loved Dark Crisis. I've been liking Dark Crisis, and the tie-ins feel like, okay, and the big problem I've been having with Dark Crisis is like, okay, what will this matter, after Dark Crisis is over? Is this really going to ripple into anything? And I think this issue does a good job where it's like, even if it doesn't ripple into anything, it still has something to say. And I feel like that's when the tie-ins have been successful. So overall, giving this 4 stars. The artwork is still a little stiff for me, but, I think the style works overall for the book. So that's number 2. Moving on to number 1, which is Batman Superman World's Finest issue 8. And it's Mark Waid and Dan Mora. It's just such a good series, and I'm so intrigued to see who this new sidekick is. And you definitely get some information in this issue where it's like, okay, Superman escaped his exploding planet as a baby. Kara had escaped her planet at 15, but they weren't involved in the actual explosion of their planet. And there's little hints that this character might actually be the reason why the planet hit its demise. And there's just some really interesting character beats throughout the book where, you get to see him interact with the Titans, and Donna tells Dick, like, oh, watch out for him. You know, let's see what's going on here. And then even Superman's being a bit cautious, and then you get some good interactions between this sidekick and Kara. And then you get towards the end where the Joker appears. There's this build up behind the scenes that there's something bigger than just this sidekick character. And I just think it's a wonderful balance of action, character moments, actually driving the plot. And I just thought it was a really solid issue. Dan Mora's artwork always shines so bright with facial expressions. And again, that just well-balanced storytelling. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that's my pick of the week. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was. And last week's viewer's pick of the week was Ghost Rider. And here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.